There's a place where two continents almost touch, where the Pacific Ocean turns savage, where the water itself becomes a weapon. The Bering Sea. 53 miles. That's all that separates Alaska from Siberia at the narrowest point. But those 53 miles might as well be 5,000. This isn't just another ocean. This is a 878,000 square mile proving ground where nature writes the rules in ice and fury, where 100-mile-per-hour winds collide with shallow waters to create waves that don't just break, they destroy, where the temperature can plummet 50 degrees in a matter of hours, and where the ice doesn't just freeze, it crushes. The Bering Sea has claimed thousands of lives, hundreds of ships, and it's not done yet. This is the story of the deadliest waters on Earth. To understand why the Bering Sea is so lethal, you have to understand what makes it different from every other body of water on the planet. First, it's shallow. Dangerously shallow. While most of the world's oceans plunge to depths of 15,000 feet, vast stretches of the Bering Sea measure less than 600 feet deep. The continental shelf here extends for hundreds of miles, creating what oceanographers call a platform effect, and that platform becomes a launch pad for destruction. When storms race across the North Pacific, their energy has nowhere to go but up. The waves don't dissipate into deep water, they pile on top of each other, building into towering walls of freezing seawater, 40 feet, 50 feet, mountains of water, moving at highway speeds. But the waves are just the beginning. Second, the weather systems here collide like nowhere else on Earth. Arctic air masses from Siberia slam into Pacific storm fronts. The result? Meteorological chaos. Bomb cyclones that intensify with terrifying speed. Winds that can peel the skin off a ship. Visibility that drops to zero in seconds. And then there's the ice. From November through May, the Bering Sea transforms. Sea ice advances south from the Arctic, creating a shifting maze of frozen barriers. This isn't the stable ice of a frozen lake. This is pack ice, constantly moving, grinding, consolidating. Pressure ridges 30 feet thick. Ice flows the size of city blocks, drifting at the mercy of currents and wind. Get trapped in that ice and you don't escape. The pressure builds, the hull groans. And then it gives. This is the arena. This is the battlefield. And humans have been challenging it for thousands of years. Long before steel ships and GPS, indigenous peoples navigated these waters in vessels made of skin and bone. The Yupik, the Inuit, the Aleut. These cultures didn't just survive the Bering Sea, they mastered it. In umiaks and kayaks, they crossed distances that would terrify modern sailors. They read the ice like a language. They predicted storms by watching the behavior of seabirds. They understood that the sea demanded respect, patience, and an acceptance that some journeys might be one way. But by the 19th century, a different kind of traveler arrived. Industrial whalers. The bowhead whales of the Bering and Chukchi Seas represented fortune. Each whale could yield tons of oil and baleen. The plastic of the Victorian era, American whaling fleets pushed farther and farther north, chasing the massive creatures into increasingly dangerous waters. They were playing a game they didn't understand. In the summer of 1871, the whaling fleet pushed deep into the Arctic Ocean, north of the Bering Strait. The hunting was exceptional. Ship after ship filled their holds with oil and bone. But they stayed too long. By September, the ice began to close in. What had been open channels of water became frozen corridors, then frozen dead ends. 33 ships found themselves trapped, surrounded by pack ice that crushed hulls like matchboxes. 1,200 men, women, and children, abandoned their vessels and trekked across the ice toward 7 ships that had remained in open water. It was a desperate, freezing march. Somehow, miraculously, they all made it. But the ships, all 33, were lost. Ground to splinters by the ice, it remains one of the largest peacetime maritime losses in American history. The Bering Sea had sent a message: push too far, stay too long, and you will pay. When World War II reached the Pacific, the Bering Sea became a battlefield. In June 1942, Japanese forces invaded the Aleutian Islands, the chain of volcanic islands that arc across the Bering Sea from Alaska toward Russia. It was the only time foreign troops occupied American soil during the war. The U.S. Navy responded with everything they had, including submarines like the USS Grunion. The Grunion was a Gato-class submarine, sleek and deadly, commanded by Lieutenant Commander Mannert L. Bailey. In July 1942, she was assigned to patrol the waters near Kiska Island, hunting for Japanese vessels. On July 30th, the Grunion radioed that she had engaged enemy destroyers and was running low on torpedoes. She was ordered to return to base at Dutch Harbor. She never arrived. For 65 years, the USS Grunion and her 70 crew members simply vanished. No wreckage, no survivors, no answers. Then, in 2007, Abela's sons, who had spent years searching, found her. The submarine lay in 3,000 feet of water off Kiska Island. Evidence suggested she had been hit by her own malfunctioning torpedo or possibly struck by return fire from a Japanese patrol boat. We'll never know for certain. But the Bering Sea had claimed another vessel, another crew. Naval battles continued throughout the war. Surface ships dueling in fog, submarines stalking beneath ice floes, aircraft attacking through blinding snow. Men died not just from bullets and torpedoes, but from the cold, from the waves, from the simple act of being in those waters. The enemy wasn't just the Japanese, it was the sea itself. Today, a different kind of warrior challenges the Bering Sea. Fishing vessels. The Bering Sea is one of the most productive marine ecosystems on Earth. King crab, snow crab, opilio, pollock, halibut. Millions of tons of seafood are pulled from these waters every year, feeding markets around the globe. But the price is measured in lives. Modern crab boats are engineering marvels. Reinforced hulls, advanced navigation systems, heated decks. But when you're hauling 700-pound steel cages in 40-foot seas, while freezing spray turns your entire vessel into a floating ice sculpture, technology only gets you so far. The danger is constant and immediate. A rogue wave sweeps the deck, and a crew member disappears in an instant. A pot stack shifts, and tons of steel crush whoever's standing nearby. A boat takes on water faster than pumps can handle it, and the vessel rolls, sinks, and takes everyone down in minutes. The average winter temperature hovers around 15 degrees Fahrenheit, but factor in the wind chill from sustained gales, and it feels like 30, 40 below. Exposed skin freezes in minutes. Wet clothing becomes a death sentence. And there's nowhere to run. You're hundreds of miles from shore. Rescue helicopters, if they can even fly in the conditions, are hours away. If your boat goes down, you have maybe 5 minutes in the water before hypothermia shuts down your body. The Deadliest Catch isn't just a television show title. It's a statistical reality. Between 1990 and 2019, over 200 commercial fishermen died in Bering Sea waters. Vessels like the Big Valley, the Katmai, the Destination, all lost with most or all hands aboard. Names etched into maritime history beside those whaling ships from 1871 and warships from 1942. Different eras, different technologies, same sea, same deadly equation. But now, the Bering Sea itself is changing. Climate change is rewriting the rules that have governed these waters for millennia. Sea ice is forming later in the fall and melting earlier in the spring. The ice edge, which historically provided both barrier and boundary, is becoming unpredictable. For fishing fleets, this creates new dangers. Ice patterns that captains have relied on for decades no longer hold. Routes that were safe become death traps. The timing of seasons shifts, forcing boats into riskier weather windows. Storm intensity is increasing. The bomb cyclones are getting stronger, developing faster. Weather forecasting becomes less reliable when the atmosphere itself is in flux. Marine ecosystems are migrating. Crab populations are moving north into deeper, colder waters, following the ice. Fishermen must venture farther from safety, deeper into the most treacherous zones, just to reach their catch. The Bering Sea has always been a frontier, a place where humans exist at the mercy of forces far beyond their control, where the margin between survival and catastrophe is measured in degrees, in minutes, in single decisions. And that frontier is becoming more dangerous. 2 continents, 53 miles apart. Between them, a body of water that has swallowed empires of whaling ships, squadrons of warships, and fleets of fishing vessels. The Bering Sea doesn't care about your technology. It doesn't care about your experience. It doesn't care about your courage. It simply is vast, violent, unforgiving. And still they come. The fishermen, the researchers, the adventurers. Because some frontiers demand to be challenged, even when the cost is almost certain. The Bering Sea isn't just the deadliest waters on Earth. It's where the ocean goes to war with anyone brave enough or foolish enough to enter.